Hello and welcome to Golf Lovers United, where we discuss golf the fair way. And today we're going to talk about 8 players who may or may not go to LIV. We're going to talk about what the LIV teams might look like next week, and next week even, next year. Or it could be next week if you're listening to this on New Year's Eve. But we're also going to talk about the Worldwide Tech Championship that just went on this week, won by Mr. Erik Van Rooyen. And Ben and I, who is back from his vacation, we may have a little mass debate together. That's right, a debate together. If you heard anything else, please switch off until you're in a better frame of mind. That's right, we may mass debate together. But without further ado, let me bring on my 2 fantastic co-hosts, the one, the only pro golf critic, Jay. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Everything feels right now that we have everybody here. We have a quorum of folks. Welcome back, Ben. I was joking with everybody last week that we were going to turn you into Golf Lover US before this was over. But sounds like you had a great trip. So yeah, let us know how it went.
And Ben, obviously at Golf Lover UK, welcome back. In order to turn you into Golf Lover US, of course, you need to eat a lot of the food that we don't get over here in the UK, starting with, of course, copious amounts of Hershey's that taste like vomit. Did you do that or did you not do that?
Hershey's is trash.
Oh,
It's gritty and horrible. Whenever an American comes over to the UK and has English chocolate, they're always like, oh my God, this is so different. When I played with Matt Wolf, I had some chocolate in my bag and shared it. Like every single American ever tries English chocolate. You get trash over there. But there we are. No, I had a great time. It's great to be back. I felt I had to come back because obviously Jay spoke for 97 hours straight. And I enjoyed it because I love you and you're a friend. I can't believe people stayed tuned in.
I was out, to be fair, mate. I was trying to hang up, but the browser was just not working. I was like, how do I get out of this? This is terrible. No, I'm only kidding. We enjoyed it last week, and it was our first YouTube session as well. So do check us out. Search for Golf Lovers United over on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to tell us that we are LIV shills or PGA shills or trollers, send us emojis, gifs, or any kind of, well, I don't want to say any kind of picture that you want, but use your imagination. You can do so over on X or Twitter, as Elon Musk calls it when he's on Joe Rogan, at GLU Golf Club on the X or the Twitter. And we're on Instagram as well. Just do a search for Golf Lovers United. All right, we're going to dive in then. Well, Ben, you wanted to talk about, you've even made notes this week, which I think is highly professional and wildly surprising. You wanted to talk about eight golfers that you think might end up at LIV. How do you want to do this?
I think we've had a lot of names come out, and I think that Jay and I are very lucky that we've got some great connections inside of LIV and inside of golf, that we get some particles of information and some semblances of what might be happening and some discussions. Jay and I have both been told there's definitely 1, probably 2 new teams coming to LIV. We've been told that by people that know and would know, and to get that information is fantastic. So if you have anything else to share with us, do let us know. As you know, we never reveal our sources. But yeah, we've been told there's 1, definitely 2 new teams. But I think it's interesting to look at the new players and maybe some of the formations of teams. So I don't want to spend 45 minutes on this because I think that some people will get bored of it, and we're going to cover a few other things, aren't we? Like the Worldwide Technology Championship and all that sort of stuff later. But I just want to go into this, and I want to start, and I'm going to give you the name. I want you to give me a score out of 10 of where you, if they're going or not. 10 being they're definitely going, they're teeing it up. 0 being they're desperate to be on the TGL, they got no interest. I will then give you my thoughts, and then I want you to give me why you got to that score. All right.
This sounds super complex. Let's just keep trying to say Worldwide Technology Championship, because that's way less complex.
Do you know what? It's nearly as complex as Tiger pretended that watching LIV was.
Don't get me started on this one. We had a little mass debate earlier.
Don't get me started on this Tiger stuff. Like
you cannot.
I'm already fired up enough.
Why have you done that? You brought that up so early. Now we got to just go back to the eight players. All right, go on.
Let's go back to the 8 players. All I'm going to say is you can't be the greatest golfer that's ever lived, be a golf savant, and pretend you can't understand shotgun starts. But there we are. Right. So Sungjae Im is my first name, but I'm going to put him in a pair to come over with Siwoo Kim. Mark, What are your scores? I'm going to write these down, and then when the live season starts, they're recorded in my notebook. When the live season starts, we will go back and see who was right and what level of right and wrong were you, because we'll be able to take that 8 out of 10 or 3 out of 10 and see how right or wrong you were. So, Mark,
I bet being married to you is a right old laugh.
Love a spreadsheet, mate. Right, Mark.
How right was I?
So
I'm doing this.
You've got Sungjae Im and Siwoo Kim. What's your score out of 10 for them coming across?
I think they're pretty high, just because your logic was sound a few weeks ago. So I never give a 10 because you've always got to save a bit. But I'm going to go 9 on these ones.
Jay?
Yeah, I had it as a 9.5. The last episode we obviously focused on Rahm, and we focused on Tony Finau. There were a lot of other names I don't want to drop, but we're at an hour. I wanted to save the rest of the names for when we were a full unit. So those are two of the names I was going to mention. I could say a 10.
I'm going 10. I'm going 10. And their team will be Sungjae Im, Siwoo Kim, Kevin Na, and Danny Lee. They will change the name from the Ironheads. They're all 4 South Korean lineage. They are the South Korean team. We've got a South Korean event coming up. We know full well there are 3 South Korean sponsors who've made an interest, 2 of them publicly. 2 of them have attended events you've been to, and 1 have attended an event I've been to. There will be a South Korean sponsor sponsoring the South Korean team, which will be Sungjae Im, Siwoo Kim, Kevin Na, and Danny Lee. Take it to the bank.
It also sounds like the South Korea event is actually going to be the team championship location for next year. That's not confirmed yet. I've just been hearing that there's a lot of that would be gigantic. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But that's what I've heard.
So you're both happy with that new team, that revamped team, and those 2. Right, great. Okay. I know we spent a long time on Tony and John. We're going to touch on them now. We don't need great detail. What's your thoughts on Tony Finau coming across next year for next season? Mark, give me your score.
I'm going to go 7 on this one. I'm going to go a 7 on this one. It would be lower if not for the financial challenges that Jay brought up, just because, I don't know. Just okay. That's what I think.
That's fair.
What are you going for, Jay?
I'm going 10. Everything that I've heard, like when our podcast came out last week, I got feedback from people that you would know that were like, "Oh yeah, there's some needle movers that are coming over to live," and
yeah,
no.
I'm also going to go for it. I can't go for the 10 because I can't have 2 10s and another 10. I'm going to go for 9.5. I had a text message from someone that every single person watching this will know or know of, who went, you, Jay, Mark, he's going. I'm like, okay. Like, I said,
I feel like I'm getting screwed here because I don't get the text messages. You guys are shitting on me. This is bullshit. I'm not going to play golf for you guys because you'll be like, yeah, I got a text from the superintendent of the course telling me where to hit it on every single shot. And I'm like, right, okay.
I genuinely had that on a course, yeah.
I'm out.
The person said to me, the only reason he doesn't go is if there is a complete and utter change of heart. He feels he's gone. But again, that could be wrong. But look, I hope he goes. I love Tony Finau, and I think he'd be some of the gas that Liv needs with those big names. Right, John
Rahm,
my
missus watching as well. She's a big Tony Finau fan. Yeah, she loves Tony.
I heard the ladies do. He's a very loyal family man, but I hear that the ladies do love him. So he's a good bloke.
She'd have a go, though.
He is eye candy. He is the eye candy that Liv needs. Because let's face it, I love Westy. Met him a few times. I love Pulse, but I'm not sure they are bringing in the ladies' eyes.
No, I mean, there was a peak for those two as lookers, and I'm not sure it was 2023. That's what I'm saying. Love the guys,
and there's only so many times you can show Bryson's blue eyes without it getting boring, because the ladies love him as well. And Jay, you've been to a live event. The ladies follow Bryson around, don't they? It's unbelievable.
Are they all like, squat me? Press me! I made a protein, Bryson! Eat me!
I've come back and we've got stupid.
Let's just say Bryson is very active on Instagram, and the Instagram Instagram ladies, they love themselves some Bryson DeChambeau.
I don't know. I don't know about that. All I know is that when you walk at a live event, the percentage of women following Bryson's group is way higher than any other group. Right.
Look, I don't feel comfortable talking about this. I'm going to have to consult with Mrs. Pro Golf Critic about this because she's the authority on this stuff. So I will consult with her, and then next week I will come back to you guys with her.
We need a soundbite. A follow up.
She's got some spicy takes. The listeners are not ready for her spicy golf takes. Let's just leave it at that for now.
We were meant to be doing these too quickly. What's Rahm? Mark, we're not even going to talk about John Rahm, but just give me a score out of 10.
I'm gonna go a 6 again, unless you got a text from John.
No, Jay.
So for 2024, I'm going to go 7. For 2025, I'm going 10.
Okay, I'm going to go for a 6 as well.
Okay,
right. Adrian Meronk.
He to me is, he might be an 8. He might be an 8. Early days, played really consistently well on the DP World Tour, which puts him in a position where he must have a lot of leverage from a financial perspective. If you're gonna go, you got to go while you're on the up. So yeah,
Jay,
I would say maybe an 8.
I'm gonna go 6, just because we start to you start playing the numbers game, and if some of these other guys, if they all go, they're starting to talk about limited spots. I wouldn't. Yeah, so I'll leave it at 6. Yeah.
Okay. I'm doing myself a double score, which I will allow you two to do. I'm going for Meronk for a 6, but I'm increasing it to a 10 if Victor goes.
Good point.
Do you two want to have an additional score if Victor also goes? I'll allow that.
No, I already did the double score for Rahm, so I've already,
Okay.
Yeah,
so what's your odds on Victor going?
Oh, mine are, I'm a 4 on Vic. I think coming off the back of the Ryder Cup, I think the time to get him was 18 months ago. I think he's ascended the heights now where he potentially feels like there's a lot more that he can do from where he is. And he's got a chance to become the next face of this, especially if someone like Rahm does start to change his perspective. So I'm going to say a 4 for Vic.
Jay?
Yeah, I was high on Victor earlier, but I'm probably going to go with a 3 for now, only because I feel like if he had won a major this past year, it would be probably 8 or 9, but I know that's really important to him. And then we run up against this situation of spots, and he'd be a captain of a new team, but I don't think we're quite ready for him yet. So I'm going to put it pretty low, a 3 or 4.
I've gone for a 3. I've gone low as well. I think it's either Victor comes across, brings Adrian Meronk, takes 2 of the other Europeans and creates a new European team, or it doesn't happen.
Right.
I think it's that stark. It's not he goes and captains a team and a few other people go along. I think it'll be him, Meronk, and a couple of others. They form their big new European team. They call themselves the Vikings or whatever they want to call themselves, the Berserkers, whatever you want to do. The Vikings is used obviously by Minnesota. You call yourself the Berserkers, and you get a big flame red bearded ball, like ginger, with the hair and the ponytails, whatever else it might be. You can do loads of stuff with that motif, because they managed to make a logo out of a frog, for Christ's sake, so they can do it out of a berserker. Right, Hideki Matsuyama. What are your odds on Hideki going? Not odds. What's your score out of 10?
Do you know, he feels like a 6.5, 7 as well. It's again maybe down to the spots, but he feels like he's on the right trajectory to want to seek something like a live. So yeah, I'm going to go 6.5. But I'll stick to 6.5. Yeah.
Okay, good. Jay?
I'm going to go 5 just because I don't know exactly. I don't have any feeling one way or the other. I totally think he would be a huge get for live. I can't say I'm really a Hideki fan. I understand the appeal with that market, but I don't really feel strongly one way or the other. So I'll say 5.
I'm going 7. And the reason is he really wanted to go last year. but things are put in place to stop him going. And we know discussions were had with Golf Japan. We know that. That's been made very, very clear. I think there's still a big money offer for him if he wants it. He's also had some back injuries from playing lots of golf. And I think he might like to go and play 14 rounds of LIV Golf, where you only play 14 events, where you only play 3 rounds, not 26 events where you play 4, and play the majors. And I think that with Japanese golf and the Hong Kong golf and that East Asian golf being part of the LIV profile, I can't remember the name of the Hong Kong laddie. Jay, what's his name? The amazing
talk about Taiichi Ko?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There feels there could be something done with a really good Far East golf team as well. So I just feel there's something to be looked at there. That's kind of why I've gone for that. Right. Okay. Let's go to my last one. Bring in another major winner, Brian Harman.
I mean, for me, yeah, I think he's probably like an 8, just because no one expected him to do what he did last year. He had a decent-ish Ryder Cup. No one expected him to win the major. Does anyone expect him to do it again? I'm not entirely sure that they do. So I think he's as a bit of a journeyman. I think he could be an 8, man. I think it fits.
Jay?
Yeah, it's a great point. I'm probably going to go 7. I could definitely see a couple teams that would be really strong fits for Brian Harman. I mean, I think Brian Harman as a range goat probably fits great, especially if some of these other moves that I've heard are in the bag. Yeah, I think he'd be a great fit. Yeah, so I'll say 7, but things can always change. But look, he's got his major exemptions the next 5 years, which is basically going to be because he's in his late 30s, which is basically his career. Yeah, his playing career. So I mean, it makes a ton of sense to do it now.
Okay, well, I'm just calculating these last few numbers, so bear with me, caller.
Jay, as a statistician, let's fill this gap by completely ribbing Ben for his love of a spreadsheet whilst he manually adds up all of these scores.
Here we go. Oh, shut up. Right. So coming in at first place with 28.5 out of 30 is Sungjae Im and Siwoo Kim. Big Tony at 26.5. Brian Harman at 23. Age Moronk at 20. John Rahm at 19, Hideki at 18.5, and Victor in last place with 10. So there you are, folks. That's our 8 names and where we think they could be. I do think that Liv would love that lad from Hong. Say his name. I'm so sorry, being disrespectful. Getting his name.
Taiichi Ko. He's
Taiichi Ko. Yeah, they want him. They want him to finish top 3, don't they?
Oh, for sure. Like he's definitely playing in the promotions event. That's confirmed.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a very, very heavy contingent of Asian Tour players and sort of players from that part of the world in that particular event. No, Taiichi Ko, though, like he went to college at Notre Dame. Like he knows the American market. I think he's really personable. Like I've seen him at the Hong Kong Open doing some promotional stuff for the Asian Tour. I think that he could be a huge get. Like, I know he isn't a household name yet. He's very young, but yeah, nice. But I do think that Taiichi Ko could be a great get. And if we're talking like, like even if he doesn't make it through the promotions event, like I can see him being a really important addition sometime in the next year or two. So we'll have to see. Yeah.
Well, Mark, I've scratched my itch. Move on with the rest of the show.
Can I touch really quickly on John Rahm? One of the things
enough. Go on. You basically used him.
It's an important thing. It's an important thing that I want to sort of get out there. We obviously talked a lot about John Rahm last episode, and I'm not going to go into detail. I do want to put this out there for folks that, look, it's very clear that LIV kind of wants to follow this F1 model for building teams and things like that. one of the things people need to sort of keep in mind when it comes to this is the fact that the equipment companies and sort of the really big golf specific sponsors have not really been part of this process yet. I think that is a door that's about to swing open. So if we are going to start to build these teams and maybe add in some additional branding from some equipment manufacturers, I think that could be part of the whole John Rahm process. It could be part of building sort of him starting to build a team in his image that includes Callaway as a sponsor and some of his other sponsors that are very, very tied into, the professional golf world. So, and all of this could be sort of coalescing. That's part of the reason why I'm not sure if it's going to happen for next year, except if you project this out 2025, I think that's kind of the look that LIV is going to go for. Again, speculation, but I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like, this is kind of it's like putting together a puzzle where you have half of it completed and the rest you kind of have to figure out for yourself. So until we continue to get more information, which is going to come probably in the next, a few months to a year's time, I just want everybody to sort of keep this in mind, keep an open mind about all of this, that there's a lot still to come from this whole LIV team model that TGL is also going to tap into as well.
I don't disagree with the sponsors and the equipment as well, just to kind of wrap up on that one. I think if you look at the brand of LIV, and if you look at any brand, especially a brand, it sort of touches on that kind of tongue-in-cheek banter Ben and I were having on Twitter earlier. Go and look that up. It's interesting that if you have something that is so conditioned to being the same for such a long time, and in this particular context that I'm just about to talk about, we've all seen the brands adorning every part of every single golfer for the last, Lord knows how long. Suddenly to move to LIV, and suddenly if you switch LIV on the CW or on YouTube over here in the UK, you don't see Callaway so much, you don't see Ping, you don't see the sponsors. You might not notice it, but subconsciously, that is a huge part of what feels like a missing part of the LIV brand, is that it can only be legitimate if Phil wears what Phil wears. And it's whether that's right or wrong, there's no doubt about it that someone that's a 30-year Phil fan suddenly sees him playing something else and he doesn't look like Phil in that regard. It affects the brand. There's no doubt about it. There's something missing and you can't quite place it. You don't know what it is. And all these little things just add up. So I think actually that's a huge part of LIV's legitimacy for the traditional golf fans. And whether we want the traditional golf fans to give a shit about LIV, who really cares? LIV wants that. Of course they do. There's only so far you can grow the game by attracting new fans. We all know getting new people into golf is harder than switching people who already love golf to watch LIV. That's a fact. So I think that's huge, Jay. I think that's a huge thing, getting the sponsors and the equipment manufacturers on board. I think that would radically change the way that the whole LIV brand was perceived.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, but more importantly than that, I've just worked out our surety points as well. So if you go from what we've given, we had a total of 80 points to give out. I gave out 59.5, Mark gave out 57.5, and Jay gave out 57. Listeners, people who's new to the YouTube show that didn't see me last week, you can expect more of this crap from me.
He loves a bloody spreadsheet. He loves a spreadsheet. All right, from one insanely challenging thing to talk about, spreadsheets, to an insanely challenging thing to say the world, what is it? Because I still forget it. Worldwide Technology Championship. Was that what it was last week? Yeah?
Yes.
My word. Oh, dear.
Look, I got to get this in. This is something that's like, it really grinds my gears about the PJ Tour, and it's something that I have been on this block for a long time. They've got to figure something out with these names. Like, these names of these tournaments, I get that, look, title sponsorship is a big thing. I totally get that that's a huge revenue source for them, and it's great exposure for these companies. The problem is, for like hardcore fans, it's like it's impossible to keep track of these names year to year. Like, nobody knows what the Worldwide Technologies Championship was like last year or 2 years ago. Like they need to do this model just like LIV is doing, where you have LIV Singapore presented by Resorts World, like something like that. Like you need to have some identity to these events. The Players Championship presented by whoever. The Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. Like that's the direction that you need to go in with these specifically with the signature events that are supposed to be the top events on your schedule. These events need an identity. Like you're already losing sponsors, like the Honda Classic that we've known for 40 years is going away. Like they're not calling it the Honda Classic anymore. I think they're calling it the Classic at like Palm Beach or something like that. Maybe that's the direction you need to go in. Like there needs to be an identity to these events, especially if you're going to be turning over sponsors every few years. So I think this is something that like they need to like figure it out, especially with everything that's going to happen, with the merger and sort of everybody coming together. If you're going to have this umbrella corporation that has these really important events, like you have to have some policy that, okay, we've got these really important events. We need every single event to have a very specific identity that can't flip every few years if we lose a sponsor or we get a new one. So I think this is something that's like really, really important to like the success of this, because if you can't name the event, like how is it supposed to be important to us? So
yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
So at least LIV, every event has an identity based on location. These other PGA Tour events have no identity whatsoever.
And I think the identity is because the PGA Tour, like I said last week, Jay, to me, the PGA Tour is only stale when there's not that much going on. So it's like this time of year, it gets a little quiet because we all know that. We know the schedule. However, I'm still as turned on by the players. I'm still as turned on, even by like the Honda. I'm still as turned on by the farmers. I'm still as turned on by any of the things that don't change from a branding perspective, the waste management and so on and so forth. I'm as turned on by those as I've ever been. And it's why the majors hold such appeal outside of the top players playing there. It's not about necessarily just the top players. It's about the fact that once every 3 months through summer or 2 months, whatever it is, we get together and we play the branded major. It's the Open. It's the US Open at Riviera, wherever. The Masters, perhaps the biggest kind of brand out of them all. I do think that's such an important thing. You see it with like soccer stadiums and stuff in the UK. I don't give a shit whether it's the Reebok Stadium or whatever the Bolton's called now. I just don't know. I don't care. And it's such a vital part, I think, of the next evolution of golf, because I want to say to my mate that I talked about last week, who goes and loves virtual golf and a range as much as he loves going out on the course. I want to say to him, do you want to come down the sim? We'll get a few beers on. We'll tell the missus that we're working, and do you want to watch the waste management? Because it's a right old do. And it's next year. I don't want to be saying, do you want to come and watch the Foot Locker PGQ BBC 6 Invitational? What's that? Oh, it's the one we watched last year, but it's just different now. So I get it, man. I think brand's vital in that regard. Ben, what have you got to say on this? Are you just doing formulas and stuff, mate? On your spreadsheet?
If you don't like a pivot table, can we even be friends?
I love a pivot table. Queering me, baby.
In all fairness, I have struggled at times with pivot tables, and I have thrown stuff. Look, I think you two are being a bit harsh on it. I think the PGA Tour has always had some more well-known names and some less well-known names. I've said before, while I'm a huge fan of LIV, I love the PGA Tour. I watched a fair bit of the Worldwide Technology Championship. I got one thing that has annoyed me about it, which I'll talk about in a moment. So I actually thought it was a great event. And I kind of disagree with you both. While I agree on the branding piece, what I'll say is the PGA Tour has always had 10 to 15 events in a year. You go, what's that called? But you don't worry because you just dial in and tune in to watch it because that is the golf that's on. However, with LIV and with some more competitive Asian Tour events like the one we got this week in the Hong Kong Golf Club, there's now need to maybe be a bit more branded. But I'm kind of taking the other side of the fence to you, wasn't that? What I want to talk about firstly is Erik Van Rooyen. What a fantastic win. What an absolute to shoot 9 under, 9 under 63 was fantastic, and obviously it was done, and he put it in sort of accredited it to his dear friend. He and his caddy went to college with a gentleman that's now sadly as he said, has got cancer and is going to lose the battle. So we've all lost people from cancer, whatever else it might be in time, and I'd just like to say well done, Erik, on winning that and giving that message across. Erik Van Rooyen, by the way, is the one name I felt might have gone to LIV last year to be part of the Stingers. I was very vocal. I thought that was nailed on. I thought he would go. Do the Stingers need to make a change? I would say they probably don't. They've got a really good brand and really good mix, and I think they got rid of Duplessis and got in Dean Burmeister, and I think that they've solidified that. I want to just have a moment's pause. I thought the event was really good. I thought the course looked really good in many ways. It wasn't as difficult as people maybe should be talking about. But Matt Kuchar, how many of us have been where Matt Kuchar was? Standing, and listeners to the show will know I'll talk about when I lost my club championships on the 8th tee at Manor House Castle Coombe when I bottled it and threw it away.
You never mention it.
Yeah. Matt Kuchar, how often have we been there, everybody, when you think, all I've got to do is just get this up this slope and I'll be fine? And he's gone from leading a tournament was he leading by 2 or 3? I can't remember, to then dropping down to tied for first place, having dropped 4 shots. We've all been there. Matt Kuchar, a moment of silence for you. We've all been there. If there is a golfer in the world that laughed at him and didn't feel for him, then you aren't my friend, because we've all been there. And Cooch, what was it like? Literally 4, maybe 5 inches from staying up.
Yeah, and every time it was. We were all just head in hands, like, oh mate, every shot, like, and you're right. It wasn't like you see a lot of memes and a lot of people, like in soccer or football or whatever, you get a lot of people, oh, I should have put that in from there. I could have put that in. No golfer was doing that. You were just like, oh mate, fuck, not again, mate. Oh man, you're right, look, man. We've all been there, and then you're just willing the guy to chip in every time. You're like, come on, you can do it. Hero bogey. Come on, hero double.
Look, it happens to everybody. As someone that plays in a fair amount of higher level amateur events here in the U.S., certainly happened to me. I've certainly made my share of 7s and 8s. Not necessarily when I was leading by 6 or something like that, but it does happen. I mean, it's one of those things that you just never know. You never know when it's going to happen, which is part of the reason why, when somebody has a really big lead, this is something that Tiger was really big on. Like when he had a 8-shot lead, like he wanted to make it a 10-shot lead. Like if he has 10, he wants to make it 12. Because you just never know what's going to happen that last day, especially on some of these courses where, even though they appear very easy, because the scores are that are being shot are super, super low. Look, there's danger out there on a lot of these holes. Like you just never know. All it takes is one bad snap hook tee shot, and all of a sudden you're re-teeing and you're struggling to make double. And that's exactly what happened to Kuchar. So, these things happen. You just got to be prepared for it. Look, Matt he's a veteran. He actually responded pretty well. Like after he made the quad, he bogeyed the next hole, but it was a really difficult hole. But the last day, I mean, he shot, even with that quad, he shot 67 in that 3rd round. And then the last round, he shot 66. So look, there's a lot of criticisms about that course. I think that it's obviously a Tiger Woods design. I think that it was designed to have more wind than they had that particular week. Like there weren't really any conditions, so it was kind of like shooting darts. And I think that's why the scores were so low. But look, it looked like an interesting course. Weren't really a ton of spectators, but that's kind of what to expect at a lot of these resort courses. Like, look, we're going to see that at the Hero next month in the Bahamas. We're going to see it at Century. at Kapalua in January. So it's like when people start posting these things about LIV not having that many fans at like Jeddah, let's say, I just want all of those fans to like just shut up, because this isn't the only PGA Tour event where there's very, very little spectators.
Why are you bothered?
I could probably name 5 or 6.
Genuine Christian, why are you bothered what they say about attendance? You and I have been to LIV events.
I know.
We know the attendance is really good. It wasn't great last year as they were building up. It wasn't good at Jeddah because it's 60 minutes from Jeddah. Mm-hmm. And it was 40 degrees with very little shade and no public transport to it.
That's true.
I don't even entertain it. Don't worry about it, Jay. Like, honestly, just let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
You guys get super mad, though. You get super mad.
Oh.
Like,
because
I would imagine
that
your frequently used emojis are like the clown one, because you love a clown on the Twitter, you boys. I like just sit there, like I'm sat there thinking to myself, right, I'm gonna nip to the old bathroom. First thing, 8:30 on a morning when I get up. Just joking, boss. It's 6:30 and I start work by 8. Promise. Get up there, fly it down. I'm like, this is great. I'm gonna fire up the old Twitter. Clown. Like, screw this. I'm going on Instagram.
It's true. That is one of my most frequently. I was looking at my most frequently used emojis.
You are worse than me. You are worse than me. I don't care what people say about tournament attendance. I've been there, and they have no more space to get people in London. Saturday and Sunday sold out. I don't care what anyone says about attendance for a LIV event. It just doesn't bother me.
It's not like I care, but like, and look, I've made a commitment like last year that I was going to be better on Twitter and not really engage with a lot of the haters.
You've broken that promise to yourself.
But I gotta admit, like I enjoy it. Sometimes I love to body bag these guys, because somebody was coming at me. Actually, it was Colt Nose. Again, coming at me on Twitter, and it's like, look, Colt needs to realize that like if he's gonna start some of these conversations, like I'm gonna finish it. So he just needs to be very, very careful about the shots that he's taking at LIV, the shots that he's taking at LIV players, because he does it very, very frequently.
He's
not the only person in the establishment that does.
For LIV.
You didn't hear that from me. I don't know.
We might want to seek clarification if Colt definitely did or did not have a conversation with LIV about working for them.
At GLU Golf Club on Twitter.
I don't know. I'm just asking for clarification. I don't know these things.
Maybe he should address that publicly. That's a good idea.
At GLU Golf Club on the Twitter. Or the comments if you are watching this on YouTube. Right, switch gears a little bit. And we're going to talk TGL. We've got some Bostonites. You're American, Jay. What do you call them?
I think it's Bostonians. So
it is Bostonians.
Yeah. And as someone that hates Boston,
not have guessed that.
I know that very, very well. But yeah.
Okay. Bostonians. So we've got the Boston team, and everyone was taking the mick out of the frog logo. What's wrong with you guys? I thought that logo was all right.
I've got no issue with it. Got no issue with the logo. Got no issue with names at all. But if you slagged off the Fireballs logo and you were rude about the Crushers logo, you can't then all be like, oh my God, isn't the Boston Golf Common logo amazing? Oh God, don't they identify with the Boston Common? No. Oh,
I don't know. The Fireballs one is like, you know, when you get like a online logo generator and it's like, here's a sample logo for you to customize. It's a Fireball. You're like, oh shit. So someone that lives gone,
like the Fireballs
right.
logo.
I like the Fireballs too.
Everyone's like, funny. Just Google logo generator. Do the just put in Fireball. That'll be fine. No one will notice. Do you know what I'm loving about this one as well, Jay? So for you listening on Spotify and Apple, you won't get this, but for you watching on YouTube, Ben just forgot that we're on YouTube.
No, I didn't. I just left. I went to get this. This is the only logo that I think in LIV I don't really get. This is the Rippers logo. This is the only one I went to get. I've got a hat for each team.
You don't get that logo.
There
are four things being ripped forward at pace.
There's 5 on there anyway.
Oh, apparently shit, I don't get that logo.
Apparently there's some relation to the Australian flag, like the cross in that. Like, I heard Cam Smith talk about it. I don't really get it. I'm not an Australian. I know very little about Australia, but I do know the flag. I know it's got like a cross there. I don't know how that equates to the Ripper logo.
You mean
exactly,
it's got a Union Jack in it, which is the greatest flag of all time, and proudly flew over your nation for a long time.
And back to Boston in a magnificent segue. Wonderful news.
No,
Thank you
I want to
so much for that one. Back to Boston. All
Hang on,
right.
Boston Tea Party, independence. We've
That's
done the
what I
full
was
circle.
getting at. There we go. That was what I was getting at.
Look, this actually ties directly into the TGL stuff. Look, one of the things about golf culture, and I get it, golf traditionalists, they hate anything new. It doesn't matter what the Boston team is called. It doesn't matter what the logo is. None of that stuff matters. People are going to hate on it. That's just how it is. Like, especially here in America. It's like any other sport. If a team is changing names, like we just went through this whole thing the last 5 years where the Washington Redskins, which is one of the traditional, NFL teams here in the United States, and Ben knows as well as a Cowboys fan, they went through this whole transition where they were the Redskins and with one of the worst logos ever. I mean, one of the most offensive logos probably I've ever seen. Yet they continued doing that. And then eventually they were like, okay, we're going to change it. They went to the Washington football team. People hated that. They've gone to the Washington Commanders. People hated that. So it's like, it doesn't matter what the logo or the names are. People are going to hate on it. That's just how it is. That being said, when I saw it and I saw Rory and Keegan and Terrell and Adam Scott come out in like a branded Boston Commons hoodie. Even though I dislike Boston, I was like, I would wear one of those hoodies. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, this is what they did pretty well, isn't it? The brand, I think the branding for TGL is actually really good. I
love it. I love it.
It's
and I
all
want to
good.
watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it will be a 2 hours on a Monday for us to watch, or Tuesday morning over a beer, 9 a.m. Yeah. I think it'll be great. I think it'll be really interesting to see.
And people are down on some of the rosters, but like this is, again, one of those things, like it doesn't need to have like the best 24 players in the world. I mean, would it be way better if it had like just even one LIV team or like 3 or 4 players from LIV? Absolutely. Like if this had, look, I know TGL only has 23 players now. If they were going to say, oh, our 24th player, despite everything that you've heard, our 24th player is going to be Bryson DeChambeau. Like, immediately it goes from here to here. Like, just having Bryson on there. It's probably not going to happen. It's a pipe dream for me. But I think Bryson in simulator golf is like must watch TV. More than almost anybody else that they have outside Tiger.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Do you think the well, I can't wait for the responses that we're going to see as well to this, because you're going to get a lot of people on Twitter, X, whatever, that will be like, they've definitely rigged Tiger's numbers. He can't hit it that far. Aren't they? Like, let's just call that straight away. They won't qualm anyone else's. They'll do, but he can't hit it that far. Look how old he is. He broke his leg.
They were saying that in the match last year where it was him and Rory against JT and Spieth. They were showing him hitting 180 ball speed. They're like, oh, they've definitely rigged those TrackMan. I'm like, no, Tiger can still get it out there even with a bad back and like one good leg. Like he's still generating speed. Like he's figured out. That's why he's such a golfing genius, because no matter what state his body is in, like he figures it out. Like that's why, like you could never really rule out him winning any tournament or anything like that. Even though I've ruled out that he's going to win another major, but you know, you can never really completely rule it out because he is that good. Like he just knows how to get the ball in the hole better than anybody else, maybe throughout the history of golf.
I've already told you on a previous podcast, when we next have the Open at St Andrews, Tiger will enter the back 9 in the top 5. It's going to happen. I've told you. Bookmark it. Take it to the bank.
Bookmark. Clip generated. Right, done. We've generated that clip. But I actually don't disagree with you on that one, especially the Open's the place to do it. It's most of the courses are Tiger-able in terms of walking. So I don't disagree with that element of it. But it's like you said, Jay, you know, if anyone's going to try and increase their lead, it's going to be Tiger. So if you do get him in that spot, you never rule him out. So we'll see. We'll see. Now, speaking of Tiger, we've got a few minutes left before we wrap up the show. Otherwise, I'm going to get divorced. Not by choice. It'll be her. So we are little discussion. Ben and I had a little mass debate, which for anyone listening is actually a discussion en masse over on Twitter. So go and check out our little debate, because Tiger had a little quote where he said he didn't understand what was going on about when he watched LIV Golf the other day. Ben, you got a little bit upset. I was just
I don't get
debating.
upset.
You were a little bit upset.
I just think it's pathetic. Like, firstly, I don't believe he didn't understand it. He's Tiger. He's a savant. He understands golf. Of course he understood it. He's also told us he's not watched LIV, and now he's telling us he doesn't understand it when he does watch it. So which of those is a lie? Because one of them's a lie. Which is it? Is it you don't watch it, or you don't understand it when you do? So let's have that straight. But also, more importantly, is that if there is any hope of an agreement, and that comment actually for me made me feel there's no hope of an agreement. There's no hope of PIF and the PGA Tour working together. If you are hoping to have an agreement and you are a player representative on a PGA Tour, which he is, and he is Tiger Woods, and his words matter, you don't need to say that. You could just say, I've tuned in a couple of times to watch LIV, looking forward to speaking to the PIF. Or, have you watched LIV? Go with your original answer. No. But he had to make a little snarky comment, which if you're trying to have an agreement and come together for $1 billion, probably don't make the snarky comment.
The problem that I have with Tiger, and this is very, very hard for me to say, because look, Tiger's one of the reasons why I got into playing golf. He's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about golf now. Tiger, there's like almost nobody in golf the last 20 years that has lied as much as he has. Let's just call a spade a spade. I love Tiger still to this day. He could do me wrong for the next 20 years. I'm still going to be a Tiger fan. That's just how it is. That being said, what he said about LIV is a complete lie. It's a complete and like utter lie for two reasons. One, we already heard from Taylor Gooch when he was at the Masters. He was talking to Tiger. Tiger knew everybody. He knew all about the range goats. He knew everybody on the team. He knew how the format. He talked about all that at length with Taylor Gooch on the range. So he knows way, way, way more than he's let on. Two, Tiger Woods played 2 years of college golf. The LIV model is basically following exactly what happens in college golf here in the United States.
Yeah.
Tiger won 11 events at Stanford. He won 5+ team events. There is an individual leaderboard and there's a team leaderboard. And just like in LIV, the worst score gets dropped out of the team. So that's a total lie that he doesn't understand what's going on with LIV. Like, I think that he's strictly saying this because the interview that he did was specifically about TGL. He's obviously trying to pump that up because he has a very heavy vested interest in this. Obviously, we've gone over that at length. And I think people need to like just start parsing out these words that like, and we got to hold these people accountable for like flat out lying to our faces. So that's part of the reason why, that's the thing that really grinds my gears about Tiger. This thing that grinds my gears about Rory. It's the thing that grinds my gears about Jay Monahan. It's the thing that grinds my gears about the PJ Tour. Like, this is part of their culture. They continually lie to us, lie to our faces, and expect us to just take them at their word. And we need to stop letting them do this. And it's something that gets me very, very upset. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. But it's something I want every listener, anytime you hear anything coming from the PJ Tour or one of their high-level people, whether it's Tiger or Rory or Jay Monahan or whoever, you need to take everything they say with a grain of salt.
I think, look how much everyone's talking about it. If you want to get PR for your new deal, what do? You get your big guys to say some contentious stuff, and we learn about all of the different aspects of it because we take sides. I think PR is a very interesting game, and we see it all the time. We see it in politics. Whether you love or loathe Trump, there's no denying that he can direct the conversation wherever he wants to direct it. And I just think that's what's going on with a lot of these big guys. But we are a little bit out of time for Ben and I, so we are going to love you and leave you, which I'm gutted to do because I think we could talk about this for quite a lot more time. But do let us know on Twitter what you think. Is Tiger pulling our leg? Is he being a bit of a ponce? In England, that means idiot. What's going on? What's going on with him? If you want more from us, you can find out at GLU Golf Club. You will find Ben over on Excel. Sorry, you'll find Ben over on Twitter at Golf Lover UK and, of course, at Pro Golf Critic for Jay, and I'm at Golf Dad UK. We're on Spotify.
And
we're
the
on
gram.
Apple Podcast.
The gram.
And the bloody gram. Is it the same username, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
For us and my personal one. Same on Instagram.
Search for it. Search for it. Facebook, Bebo, MySpace. We even send bloody letters to people. But we will be back next week. We've got some interviews coming out. We've got a few things. We've got a few interesting things lined up. Ben's got some really interesting players that we're going to speak to over the next couple of weeks. And it's always fun to do this. So if you're enjoying it, do tell your friends at GLU Golf Club on Twitter, glugc.com. Jay, always a pleasure, mate. Thanks for more fun and shenanigans, my friend.
Absolutely. Today, glad to, again, we got the band back together. Everything feels right. Right. Even though there's total chaos in the golf world, there isn't chaos on this podcast. We have everybody here. It's going to be a great next few months. We've got a lot of great stuff planned, and always good talking to you guys.
Love it, man. And Ben, much love, dude. Glad to have you back.
Yeah, I tell you what, I do miss the day drinking I was doing in America. I don't mind a drink, but I don't drink really in the UK that much. I was drinking 3 or 4 margaritas a day during the day, playing golf, drinking 3 or 4 transfusions. I do miss the day drinking, but I'm a much healthier person now I'm back.
And that's how you end up with a quad to blow the lead. Until next week, everyone, we will be back. Much love, look after yourself, and enjoy your golf. Bye-bye for now.